Hi everyone, my name is Jo and today I'll be doing the Testimony Tuesday. Before I start, I just want to thank Gen 12 for giving me the opportunity to share my testimony. A little bit about myself. My name is Jo. I'm known as Cisa's older sister. You can see we have the same resemblance. I am one of 6 siblings, 3 girls, 3 boys. I'm the eldest and I am 24 years old. My testimony is just going to be about God's timing in my life and how it affected my whole family. My journey started when I was 19 years old, but let me go back when I was in high school. So in high school I got the opportunity to do a police force training through high school. While that training was going for a couple of months, I had a injury. It affected basically what I can do, basically like activities, going to school and walking. It lasted for about a year, and I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do after high school? I was thinking because of my injury. And so this one night I was getting ready to go to bed and I looked into the sky. It was night, clear, full moon, and I looked in the sky and I was like talking to God like he was there, like he was physically there. And when you're a teenager, you're just like figuring out things, what you want to do with your life. And this sounds funny to others, but for me that was the moment where I was like, oh, like he's real. So this one night I looked into the sky, clear, no clouds, and looked, and then I was like talking to God like, okay, I was testing God. And I sat there and I was like, okay, I asked God to, bring some cloud in, because it was so clear. So slowly I sat there and I was like, okay, looked that way and I slowly saw clouds forming around the moon. And it was full moon. And I was like, okay. So I sat there, I was laughing at myself. I was like, okay, God, I'm going to test you. So out of all things, I asked God to put a smiley face on the cloud. And, I sat there and I was waiting. I was like, okay, God, let's see you draw a smiley face on the cloud. And I know that sounds like really crazy, but there was the moment where I was like, it like hit me. And I sat there for a couple of minutes and a dot appeared in the cloud. So it wasn't windy, so I was like, okay, that's just a dot. And then I saw another dot appear. I was like, okay, 2 dots, okay, whatever. And then all of a sudden I saw like a smiley face, and I sat there and I was like, am I going crazy? Like I looked outside, it wasn't even windy, and I was like, I sat there, I was like, whoa, like like people think that I'm crazy when I say that, but like, to be honest, God speaks through different signs. God spoke me through clouds. God will speak through other people through signs or like dreams. As a kid I was obsessed with looking in the clouds, so I guess that was the time where like I was like, whoa, that's when I fully believed. So then before I went to sleep on that night, I was like, okay, I have one request to God, speaking to him like he was real. And I actually asked, I was like, okay, so I have my injury, heal me. I asked him to heal me, and then I sat there and I was like, okay, so I prayed to God, asking him to provide me for a job just to help with the family, with my siblings. So I started praying and I went back to sleep. Fast forward 2 weeks later, went to my siblings' primary to pick them up after school, and my mum came back and she told me that their school was looking for more workers after school care. And then I was like, oh yeah. And then because I'm a person who is stubborn. I don't express my feelings. So I sat there, and then while she was telling me that, I sat there, and in my head I was like, dang, I was like, oh, God has my back, and I was like shocked that he managed to answer my prayer 2 weeks prior, after I guess I had the little moment with God. And after that 2 weeks, I got the job, and it was an after school care job. The timing was perfect because, that was a time when my siblings were going at their school. I was there. There'll be times where my parents couldn't pick them up, so they would stay after school with me at my work. So I stayed at that job for 3 years, and I thought after 3 years, I was thinking to myself that I should go back and study. So I managed to go back to study. I studied at a tourism school. That's where it led me to going to America. So through that journey of my studying, I had the opportunity to travel around New Zealand. I had 3 years to study, and then it came to 2018. 2018 was my last year. I was finishing my diploma, and while I was doing my diploma, you have the opportunity to go study abroad or work in other countries. So in 2018, I had the opportunity to go in August to work at Disney, but something told me, I guess God was like, no, finish your study first and then go to America. So I finished that whole entire year, got my diploma, and then we had to choose the place that we wanted to work. So it was either between Canada and America. Through that, I chose obviously Disney World in Florida. So I only had a couple of months to get my money ready, get everything sorted, my visa and things like that. For me, I overthink things. I overthink everything. I panic even though I don't show it. But I guess it was around 4 months before I had to fly to America. So this was around July. I was panicking, obviously I was studying even though I got the money, but it wasn't enough to help me pay, all my fees, all my visa. I had to get a new passport, things like that. And a couple of weeks later, I had a job offer from Sky City. They came in to hire some people through my course that I was doing, and so I went for it and I got the job. And this is the part where God's timing, I finished my diploma, and I only had a couple of months to save up money for my flight, my fees, my visa, and and then a couple of, I guess, months before I flew, this job popped out of nowhere. And so I was like, oh, because my family were praying about it, I was praying about it, and then the job offer came, and I was like, yes, I finally got a job. It's a good job, that helped me pay my flight and my fees, and obviously my parents helped at the time. And yeah, so I did all my passport, my visa, and at the same time, I was panicking because I was like, oh no, I'm going to a place that I don't even know I'm going. So we had the opportunity to choose a roommate. So lucky I had a friend who's also from New Zealand. There were 4 of us, and I had a friend who was coming, so I was like, yes, we got all our roommates done. And so it came to the day around in January was my flight. You know, lucky I had uh, 3 extra friends, but two of my friends went on the same flight, and I was, I guess, the second to last, the third one to actually go on my flight. Um, I I mean, I wasn't panicking, you know, I was excited, you know, I'm going to America um, to work for Disney. I was so excited, you know. My mom was crying, you know, while I was like telling her I was going on a plane. Um, this flight was 18 hours. Um, Obviously had nothing to do on that flight, but I as soon as I got close to Texas, I flew to Texas, and you know, as soon as I saw, you know, America, it's really big. You know, I'm from New Zealand, and New Zealand is so tiny compared to America. So, you know, seeing Houston, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I can't believe I'm here in Houston. Um, and then, you know, it hit me, and I was like, oh wait, okay, I'm in Houston. I don't even know how to make my way around the airport. You know, I was kind of panicking, and lucky that I guess, lucky that I had, you know, two American couple who I sat next to, old couple, you know, you were like asking me, oh, where you from? I was like, oh, I'm from New Zealand. I was like, oh yeah. You know, they're like saying, oh, you know, we went to New Zealand for a holiday. I was like, oh, did you like it? You know, started a little conversation. And then, you know, she asked me, okay, so where you flying? I'm like, oh, I'm flying from Houston and take my connecting flight to Florida. She's like, oh yeah, we're going to Florida. I was like, oh really? She's like, oh yeah, it's your first time? And I was like, yeah, it's my first time coming to America. And so she's like, oh yeah, just stick with us, you know, we'll help you out. And you know, like that moment I was like, oh my gosh, you know, thank you God. Like, because you know, throughout my flight I was like, you know, asking God, you know, to like help me, like have someone, because I think, you know, God knows he has your back. You know, he like had my back when I overthink things. So I was like panicking. I was like, wait, I don't know my, you know, I don't know how to get around the airport. So we landed in Houston, and the old couple, you know, they were so nice. They told me to stick with them throughout until I get to my gate. So obviously going to Houston, America, the airport is really big, and you can get lost, and I did. But lucky that old couple, um, they helped me. You know, they showed me around the airport, and I only had 40 minutes or an hour before my other flight flies to Florida, my connecting flight. And you know, I was panicking. You know, I helped the old couple, you know, bring their luggage. You know, I helped them. You know, I waited for them, and then we split. So I went to my gate, which was the United Airways, and in order to get to your gate, you have to go and ride a tram. And I didn't even know that because I can't, you know, I'm from Auckland, it's small. So being there, you know, I was like panicking. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna miss my flight. I'm gonna miss my flight. I was like, God help me. I was like, give me the courage to speak to someone, you know. And then I saw a man who worked there, and I was like, hi, can you help me? I don't know where I am. You know, I was like, I have to go to this gate. He said, oh yeah, you have to take the tram. And I was like, the tram? I was like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, you have to take the tram. So he showed me, and I got on. And then, you know, I was panicking because then like my luggage was already on my connecting flight on the other plane. So I was like, oh no, I'm gonna like miss my flight. And so luckily I had one person from New Zealand, who was like telling me, oh, you go through the gate and then you're there. So I got there in time, I guess 40 minutes before my flight, and managed to get there. And two of my friends who kind of, their flight were a couple of hours before my flight, I guess they were late to going to Florida. And so, you know, because I was panicking again, obviously going to Florida, I had no idea where I was going. I was excited, but I was nervous. But yeah, so lucky I had two friends whose flight who I messaged, and they said, oh yeah, they just got there together with my flight. See the timing, you know, like, you know, because I was like overthinking. I was like, God help me. But then, you know, he planned it. You know, he planned, you know, to get to my friend's flight and my flight, to delay their flight so we can get there on time. And I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, thank you, God. So I landed in Florida. It was at night. And then, you know, try to message my friends like saying, okay, where are you? And I say, oh yeah, we just landed. So we got together. Prior to, I guess before we got our flight, lucky that I was able to book hotels for me and my friends. Where, you know, I was before that, you know, so that was my plan. So we managed to get to our hotel. The hotel wasn't busy. My friend's room was like on the other side. So lucky that the hotel manager managed to grab a room that was next to each other, which was great. And then my fourth friend, I guess, came in later on. We went to go pick her up. But yeah, so my experience in America was amazing. I had the opportunity to work at Disney a whole year. You know, obviously people hear a lot of stories about America, but I was in a safe place in America. We stayed in apartments that is owned by Disney, so they have security, so we were completely safe. There have been some things that would happen through our journey in America. We would have buses that would take us to work 24/7. The buses will go on, and these buses would always break down or will be on fire. And there was this, you know, this happened to me a couple of times, but you know, when you have that moment where you stop for a couple of minutes, so, and you know it's like God telling you, oh, don't go on there yet. So this happened to me this one time. You know, I was getting ready for work. You know, I was standing waiting for my bus to come. I saw my bus, and then I guess I forgot my ID. So in Disney, you have an ID blue card where you have to have that blue card in order to go into Disney. But yeah, so you know, I like looked and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna miss my bus to where I'm gonna be late. But then I looked at the time. I was like, oh yeah, you know, it's too early for me to go work. So I was like, okay. So I had to go and grab my ID. That bus left, and then I had to wait for like another half an hour for my next bus to come and pick me up to go to work. So when I got onto that bus, this is the timing. When I got on the bus, we went past the first bus that I missed. We drove past it, and that bus was on a highway, and that bus was on fire. You know, was on fire, and we drove past, and we were looking, we're like, oh my God, that bus is on fire. You know, and I sat there and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, that second, you know, that moment where God was like, oh no, you know, he's like, oh, you know, he probably was like, oh yeah, leave your ID in your apartment so that I can go grab it, so I don't have to go on that bus, and you know, don't have to go on that bus and then be late to work. You know, I got to work and I got off, and I was like, thank you, God, you know, for like giving me that, you know, couple of seconds to be like, oh no, I forgot my ID. You know, his timing was like just on point. But yeah, through, you know, working at Disney was amazing. Nothing really happened that crazy besides that bus story. But that always happens all the time with the whole bus burning down and things like that. But my journey, you know, I had a couple like really good friends, I would say, my American family at Disney. Yeah, working at Disney was amazing. We got to extend another 6 months in working at Disney. So I had the opportunity to do that. My mom and Cecil paid for the fee. But yeah, thank God for that. Also, I guess through that whole year, I've learned many things. You know, working at Disney is fun. There's a lot of Christians who work at Disney. You know, I had a couple of friends who say, you know, you want to go to church? It's like, okay. You know, but you only get 2 days off at Disney, so you're constantly working every day, even every day. Couple of hours, a lot of hours, but it's worth it. There'll be times where, you know, I don't have time to cook for, you know, my dinner or lunch. Um, but, you know, I guess God put, you know, my roommates together because she would always, you know, cook food, even if I'm like only, you know, because you get paid only a couple, you know, I'll get paid 300 to 400 a week. On top of that, I have to pay my rent, buy food, things that I need for work, you know, things like that. And, you know, for God to put me with certain roommates was all his timing, you know, all his timing put together was amazing. And you know, I wouldn't have that opportunity if God's timing wasn't perfect, you know. Also, you know, it was almost, I guess it was this year in January. You know, that was my last day, and I'll my plan was to go to, before I came to Australia, my plan was to go to travel around America first and then go to Hawaii and then come to America. But, you know, my mom, you know, she was like saying, you know, no, come back early. You know, this was the time before COVID came in. And she was like, oh no, you have to come back home. I don't want you to go travel before something happens. I was like, oh, okay. Listen to my mom. And yeah, I just had to cancel all that plan. Came back with another when I went to the airport in Florida, it's small but it's confusing, and I almost missed my flight as well. Because I didn't even know. Lucky that there are two New Zealanders who were boarding the same flight, and they're like, oh yeah, no, you have to go through here. And I was like, oh my gosh, because I was panicking. I was like, God help me. Have my back again. And he did, and these two girls came and we went together on a flight. And flight took another extra 18 hours because I'm flying straight from America to Australia, to Melbourne. But yeah, that is my story of my testimony. Also, I'm gonna add how God's timing also before COVID, this was 2 weeks before COVID, our lockdown started, that we managed to find a house that was at a good price, and also we got to move in time before lockdown. So I guess his timing was just amazing. And now that we're here in Melbourne, first time in Melbourne, but yeah, so here we are. That's my testimony. I hope you like it, and thank you for watching.